I'd like to call this May 6th meeting of the Hampton School Board to order. Ms. Bowers, will you call the roll?
Mr. Harper?
Here.
Ms. Henry?
Here.
Mr. Kilgore?
Here.
Mr. Pearson?
Here.
Mr. Samuels?
Present.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Mugler?
Here. Let the record show that all of our school board members are in attendance at tonight's meeting, along with our division superintendent, Dr. Linda Shiflett, our school board attorney, Ms. Nancy Reeves, and our clerk, Ms. Carolyn Bowers, as well as members of our division leadership team. At this time, I'll turn things over to our student liaison, Mr. Malcolm Richardson, to make some introductions.
This evening, I'd like to introduce Honesty Lindsay, a fourth grader at Forest Elementary. She is excited about the fifth grade and making new friends and learning new things. Her favorite subject is math because she says it's easy. She doesn't have to remember things like history. She has to figure things out and work it out in her head. She likes to read fiction, a particular series called Dork Diaries. I'll have to look that up later. And with her tonight is her principal, Tracy Albia, and her mother, Harriet Smith. Please give a hand for Honesty.
Please join me in the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag for the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In honor of Teacher Appreciation Week, I have selected a poem to honor all of the teachers in Hampton City Schools for every child, every day, whatever it takes. The poem is entitled, A Teacher for All Seasons by Joanna Fuchs. A teacher is like spring, who nurtures new green sprouts, encourages and leads them whenever they have doubts. A teacher is like summer, whose sunny temperament makes studying a pleasure, preventing discontent. A teacher is like fall, with methods crisp and clear, lessons of bright colors, and a happy atmosphere. A teacher is like winter, while it's snowing hard outside, keeping students comfortable as a warm and helpful guide. Teacher, you do all these things with a pleasant attitude. You're a teacher for all seasons, and you have my gratitude.
Honesty, would you come back up to the microphone for just a minute? So you're looking forward to fifth grade there at Forest?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. And your favorite subject is math? Mm-hmm. And it's easy, huh?
Yes.
Great. I'm glad that you think so. You keep that in mind as you move forward in your education. We really enjoyed your selection tonight. It was very apropos, this being Teacher Appreciation Week. So I know that your teachers would probably be very proud of your presentation here tonight. It was a very lovely poem, and we appreciate it. And I know the teachers in our division will enjoy hearing that poem as well. So good luck to you, and thank you for coming. Now, do you have some folks with you you'd like to introduce?
Yes, ma'am. It's my mom, Harriet Smith, and my principal, Tracy Albia.
Would you ladies stand and let us recognize? Thank you both for being with us tonight, too.
Thank you.
Okay, this evening we are going to be entertained as a board and a community, the Kecoughtan High School Harbor Lights is here to perform. They're under the direction of Mr. Rick Allison, and I'm going to suggest to my colleagues that we leave the stage and go down where we can get a better view of this performance.
be the same. Makes you wonder how the world keeps turning. Life, learning how to live my life, learning how to make my fights, take my shots while I'm still burning. Goodbye to all those rainy nights. Goodbye, so long, I'm moving on. Goodbye, so long, I'm moving on. I've had enough crying, bleeding, sweating, dying. Hear me when I say, gonna live my life every day. I'm gonna touch the sky, spread these wings and fly. I ain't here to play, gonna live my life every day. Spread my wings and fly, gonna touch the sky. Gonna live my life every day. I hear a baby crying, a sad sound, a lonely sound. I want to take her in my arms, and then I'll dry away all her tears. I see a boy who's frightened, a young boy with old eyes. I long to say you're welcome here. You can be happy now that you're home. We're all a part of one world. We all can share the same dream. And if you just reach out to me, then you will find deep down inside I'm just like you. Come with me, and we'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a little spin, traveling in a world of light creation. If you come with me, if you want a view, paradise. Simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Wanna change the world? We're all a part of one world. There's nothing to it.
Thank you again to the Harbor Lights from Kickingham High School. They are an award-winning,
They're standing at the door. You can say so.
okay, award-winning choir. Just before they get away, I see that we've got a little group of visitors with us, and I think they're working on a badge probably. We have Cub Scout Troop number 184 from Fox Hill. They're all first graders. And hopefully our camera is getting a shot of them in the back of the room. They've come to join us tonight. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us. They can see themselves on the monitor. Okay. Are you working on a badge? Awesome. What's the name of the badge? A wolf badge? Your tiger badge. Okay.
And he's working on his wolf.
On his wolf. Awesome. So tiger and a wolf badge. All right. Excellent. Well, we are glad you could come and join us tonight and see how things work at the school board and in city government. So hopefully this has been interesting for you. Thank you. Okay, just a quick word about the Kickingham Harbor Lights. Shameless plug for them, and my daughter is in that group. And it was very unusual for them to be standing still. They are normally dancing on a very large stage, and I think they improvised their show tonight because they're on this teeny tiny stage that we have here at Jones. But it was nice to hear their musical selections and get a glimpse of them. They are performing tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at Kickingham High School is their choral concert, and they will be moving and dancing and all those good things. So if you're interested to see Harbor Lights and Touch of Jade is the all-girls choir at Kickingham, and a number of other vocal ensembles there. Mr. Allison is standing in the shadows back there, but that gentleman puts in many, many, many extra hours with rehearsals and activities and traveling with this group across Virginia. And that group competes in competitions throughout the state. And so he puts in a lot of extra time, Mr. Allison. We appreciate all of your dedication to our choral groups at Kickingham. Moving on to recognitions, I'll call on our Executive Director of Public Relations and Marketing, Ms. Diana Galata, and she'll be joined this evening by our Vice Chair, Mr. Dave Pearson, to make some recognitions.
Good evening. I don't know about you, Mr. Pearson, but I don't know how I feel about following Harbor Lights and Cub Scouts. Kind of difficult, but we have a good group to recognize tonight. First up, we'd like to recognize Tanya Hutchinson. Why don't you come on up, Tanya, and we'll talk a little bit about you. Tanya. Tanya is the Virginia Education Association 2015 Education Support Professional of the Year. She is an instructional assistant for early childhood at Cooper Elementary School. And this award is presented to a member of VEA who demonstrates outstanding accomplishments and reflects the contributions of educational support to public education. She was nominated for the award by Trina Francis, a past president of the Hampton Education Association. She has been working at Cooper for the last 10 years. She started as a cafeteria monitor, then served as the transportation secretary for early childhood, and now works as an instructional assistant. On top of that, she's also enrolled at Kaplan University and is completing her bachelor's degree in early childhood. She is the current president of HEA. She received the award from VEA President Meg Gruber at the VEA Delegate Assembly that was held in Hampton in March. Tanya Hutchinson.
Ms. Hutchinson, we not only applaud you for this prestigious award, but also for your career path. It's interesting to read the kinds of positions you've had in the school system, and you're taking that career path so that one day you'll be part of our wonderful teaching staff. So keep up the good work. This is a certificate. It's from the Hampton City School Board, recognizing Tanya Hutchinson for being selected as the VEA 2015 Education Support Professional of the Year, signed by our Chairman, Martha Mugler, and our Superintendent, Dr. Linda Shiflett. Congratulations.
Good evening. I just would like to thank everyone in the VEA in their absence, because we did do the banquet the end of March. Thank you for this prestigious honor. Trina Francis, my predecessor, for even nominating me for the award. And I would like to acknowledge my principal, Mr. Holleran, who has been very supportive the past 3 years, and he just allows me to be me, and I'm grateful for that. And my 4 children that are here tonight who also attend Kecoughtan High School. I have a 9th grader, a 10th grader, and an 11th grader, and a son that is a senior at Hampton University, an architect major. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to Dr. Shiflett as well for always supporting me whenever we could talk and just bond, and I appreciate you allowing me to be me and being very supportive. Thank you, and good night.
Congratulations, Tanya. It's now my pleasure to recognize 2 businesses that the Hampton School Board has recommended for inclusion on the Virginia School Boards Association Business Honor Roll. First up is Alcoa Power and Propulsion, who is a great corporate citizen with corporate values that are aligned with Hampton City Schools. I would like to ask Jack Bodner, Vice President and General Manager, Global IGT Airfuels, Alcoa Power and Propulsion, to come forward, please. Yes, you have quite the title. As a community partner and corporate citizen, Alcoa has provided many positive things to Hampton City Schools. These include industry tours for our school counselors, teachers, and students, engineering and other mentors, grant awards of $35,000, an immeasurable amount of hours, general and in-kind support, and volunteer activities such as Adopt a School, career information, and advice. They have hosted student events such as DECA and FBLA and provided many hours of mentorship and work-based opportunities over the last 12 years. So we would like to recognize you this evening. We view them as an important partner as we go forth into college and career-ready curriculum. Jack Bodner and his staff are currently involved in the Aerospace and IT Academy at Hampton High School and helping design a great program of study in aerospace and manufacturing.
Mr. Bodner, I hope that everyone heard all of those accomplishments and services you provided our students. I'm simply not going to try to repeat all of that. But as we grow our academies, we all know it's very important to have the kind of support that we have from partnerships like you. And so we really appreciated everything that we do, and I know the students appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
First, thank you for the honor on behalf of our almost 600 people here in Hampton. Last September, we celebrated our 40th anniversary in the city of Hampton. We use the product you guys generate. Well, I should say that the teachers generate, that you support to generate. And as somebody on the board can tell you, we're a pretty technical business. I was very, very impressed by this young lady that was up here earlier this evening, and she likes math. I'm an engineer by education. So I gave her my card, and I said, when you get out of engineering school, call me. Make more of those. We need more ladies in engineering. We need more ladies in the science fields, and I hope you guys are focused on that. But thank you.
Congratulations. Last but not least, we would like to recognize Riverside College of Health Careers. Robin Nell-Hubel is the System Director of Education, and Michael Hamilton is the Director of Campus Resources, and they're both here tonight, so come forward, please. Riverside College of Health Careers has been a great partner in the Governor's Health Sciences Academy and is represented on the governing board and site council. Riverside has provided many opportunities for our students. Robin Nell-Hubel has helped Hampton City Schools by providing in-kind staff time to community outreach activities and the Governor's Health Science Academy, and provided the opportunity for our students and parents to experience an operating room and tour their school. Ms. Nell-Hubel and her staff have served on regional advisory committees and provided necessary information about the needs of the healthcare community and the types and levels of licenses and certifications needed. They continue to seek ways for our students to enter the healthcare field and provide solid information about how to design and implement our programs. Thank you very much.
We've all been reading that in our newspapers recently, it listed the careers that are going to be the most promising careers for our students in the future. And I know that health careers are probably in the 4 or 5 of the top 10. And as one who has worked in the health sciences field at one time, I know how important it is for you guys, Ms. Nell-Hubel and Mr. Hamilton, and Riverside, to provide those opportunities for our students so that they can have a successful start into the career field in high school through college and have a great profession, because we need those individuals. Thank you, Ms. Nell-Hubel. Thank you. Mr. Hamilton. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all, Dr. Shiflett and board. Thank you so much for this recognition. It's my pleasure on behalf of Riverside Health System and certainly the College of Health Careers to be here and to receive this honor and to start our celebration of our 100 years of healthcare education within this area. So again, thank you for Jesse White and all the work that he does with us through career technical education. And the wonderful students that you bring forward for us to mold into our future healthcare professionals. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And congratulations again to Ms. Hutchinson, and God bless you for parenting 4 children, and 3 of whom are high schoolers. That's impressive in and of itself. But congratulations. And thank you to Alcoa and Riverside for your continued partnership with Hampton City Schools. We have a special guest this evening at our meeting. Senator John Miller has come to give us a General Assembly update. Senator?
Chairman, good to be back with you and have the opportunity to take a couple of minutes and report back on the major actions dealing with education that came before the 2015 session of the Virginia General Assembly. But first, let me say thank you to Superintendent Shiflett for her many, many years of service to the children of Hampton. When I was chairman of the Public Education Subcommittee in the Senate, I had the opportunity to interact with superintendents from all across the Commonwealth. And I can say that Dr. Shiflett is among the very best in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So, Linda, I wish you all the best as you move forward with new challenges. The General Assembly dealt with many educational issues. The first was in the budget, where we provided a 1.5% increase in the state's share of teachers' pay. I wish we could have done more, and I'm hoping that as the economy continues to improve, we will be able to do more in 2016. One other funding issue dealt with preschool funding. In the past, districts that did not use all of their designated pre-K money, it went back into the general fund. Now, those return funds will go back into a pot to be used by other localities with unmet needs. I had 2 bills that passed that you'll be interested in. The first allows for SOL retakes in elementary and middle schools. As you know, we already allow retakes in high school if somebody has failed an SOL exam by 25 points or less. Now, we're just extending that policy now to the earlier grades. But statistics show that half of the students who retake the test will pass it, and this will lead to more schools reaching accreditation. A second bill requires parents to be asked if they serve in the military when they register their child for school. This will do 2 things. First, it will allow teachers to know which students are military connected in their classrooms, and they can help them deal with deployments and other issues. And secondly, it will give Virginia good, hard numbers on the number of military-connected students across the Commonwealth, and that will ensure that we get additional federal funding. I also passed a bill repealing the ability of the state to take over a failing school system. It was bad policy 2 years ago when it was enacted and ruled unconstitutional by the courts last year. And we abolished another bad idea, the A through F school grading system. What we will do now is to redesign the school report card so it will give parents and others an idea of how each school is doing. We did pass a law that says if a school has been fully accredited for 3 years in a row, then the school will have their accreditation reviewed once every 3 years after that. And we're also prohibiting the use of students' federal Social Security numbers on any school forms. The Department of Education will develop a system of unique student ID numbers. We passed a bill requiring that the Board of Education adopt regulations on the use of seclusion and restraint in public schools. And one bill that did not pass was to reduce the number of SOL tests from the current 29 down to 17. 17 is the number required by the federal government. While it did not pass this year, I expect it will be a recommendation of the SOL Innovation Committee, and I expect it will be passed next year. The governor vetoed the Tebow bill, and the veto was sustained. That bill would have allowed homeschool students to try out for public sports teams. Another bill killed was one to allow all schools to open before Labor Day. Let me end by telling you you are very well represented in Richmond by Ann Bain, who does a great job letting us know of your positions on the issues. And I look forward to continuing to work with all of you and your new superintendent as we improve the education for Hampton and Virginia's children. Thank you for allowing me these few minutes to report back on the General Assembly action.
Thank you very much, Senator Miller, and likewise, we know we have a good friend in Richmond in you, that you are always looking out for those of us in education, and we very much value your service in Richmond. We move now to our consent agenda. It consists of items 5.01 through 5.10. Is there a motion?
Motion to accept.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Pearson and seconded by Mrs. Smith that we approve this evening's consent agenda. Is there any discussion? There being none, Ms. Bowers, will you call the vote?
Mr. Kilgore?
Aye.
Mr. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Samuels?
Aye.
Ms. Smith? Aye. Mr. Harper?
Aye.
Ms. Henry?
Aye.
Ms. Mugler?
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to superintendent and staff reports. I'll turn things over at this time to Dr. Shiflett.
Thank you, Ms. Mugler. Our first report this evening, as you remember, we are in the process of looking at a replacement for our enterprise system. Currently, we're using Oracle. And so Ms. Scott is going to be presenting tonight an update on where we are in that process.
As I get it up and going. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board and Dr. Shiflett. I will be joined shortly by Ms. Ruth. We are doing this as a joint presentation, but I do have the first part, so I can get started. And moving down. I think we've been talking about this, it feels like, for a long time, but the process has been moving forward. It's just been moving a little more slowly than we may have hoped for, but we're making good progress. So tonight we wanted to come and give you an update on where we stand with the entire project. So first, let's talk a little bit about what are the components of the new system. Under the accounting package, we have several modules that are fairly self-explanatory, so I won't really explain them, but we have a budget package, we have accounts payable, we have grants, procurement, and then fixed assets. And those are all components that we currently have in Oracle, although the grants module, we really haven't been able to make very good use of. Under the human resources side of things, we're looking at, again, modules similar to what we have now, benefits, which are employee benefits, position control, which is a module that tracks all of the budgeted full-time equivalent positions that we have, whether they're vacant or filled, and how many there are. Self-service is employee self-service, so that employees can log in, update their address, their phone number, their tax withholdings, and then during open enrollment, their benefits. Applicant tracking, which Ms. Ruth will talk a little bit more about, tracks the folks who apply for jobs from the time they submit their application until hiring if they're hired. And then learning management tracks the points and professional development for employees. Okay. Under payroll, I was like, sorry. Under payroll, there are several different pieces. We have benefits, and it sounds repetitive, but there are the benefits on the HR side, which is the actual establishment of the benefits and employees that enroll in them, the types of benefits, and then on the payroll side, it's the deductions for the benefits. Timekeeping, we have the Chronos system that does our timekeeping, but it integrates with our payroll system. So again, we will be keeping Chronos, but integrating it with the new system. Leave management, which just tracks the employee leave, sick leave, vacation leave, and other various types that we have. Compliance reporting, all of the taxes, Fair Labor Standards Act, workers' compensation, W-2s, things like that. And then liens and garnishments that we get from various places that are payroll deductions. Some things that we're still working on, we have not quite yet worked out the frequency of the pay. You may recall, it's been several months ago, we did a survey of the employees to determine did they prefer to be paid once a month or twice a month, and overwhelmingly they voted for twice a month. So that is what we're looking at, but we haven't quite worked out what that will look like yet, although at this point we are doing twice a month. Implementation of an adjusted pay schedule. Again, as we move to a twice-a-month payroll, we are also trying to adjust the pay dates and the pay schedule. So we're trying to work out exactly what that will look like. And we met just today talking about it, and we'll be bringing back more information on how that will work once we get it nailed down. We're really just getting to the point where we ourselves are starting to get a good grasp of what we're trying to do with it, because it's hard to change your mindset and figure out how that looks after so long of doing it the same way, but we're getting there. And then the elimination of advance pay. We currently pay employees in advance, which I know a lot of people really don't understand well, but we're trying to move away from that. All right, the vendor selection process. We did an RFP and we had a very good response. We had 7 proposals from a variety of different vendors and all different price ranges. After an extensive review of all of the proposals, we did narrow it down to 2 different vendors to interview. And it was a very detailed process. We had 2 different interviews. We had a lot of different stakeholders involved in the interviews. And when the vendors came back the second time, we had given them actual scenarios to demonstrate their product with those specific scenarios so that we could see that the product was going to do what we needed it to do in very specific circumstances. So after a lot of discussion, we did choose K-12 Enterprise for the accounts payable, human resources, and payroll pieces to move forward with negotiations. We are still in the negotiation process. We do not have a final contract yet. And so it's not a done deal until we work out some of the remaining details. But we are hopeful that we will have resolution soon. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Ruth, and she's going to talk a little bit about the features.
Yep, I do want to share with you some of the features that all of our new systems will possess. It is more user-friendly and it's more intuitive to use. It allows users to see real-time data and to drill down to get details. Right now, for some of our folks, the details that they see There's some lag time because the system needs to update itself, so sometimes they don't see data until it's perhaps 24 hours old. In some cases, it can be a month old when we're talking about leave accruals. So they'll have the chance to see minute by minute what true data is. It allows departments to encumber purchase orders. It also allows for an workflow approval process for all purchase orders. So we can eliminate a lot of the paperwork that goes on throughout the school division, not just with purchase orders, but in other areas as well. Again, it brings us one step closer to being paperless. The application process will be paperless for all of our employee groups. Right now, we still have bus drivers and food service employees still using paper applications. We'll be able to move away from that, so we're excited about that. And speaking of hiring bus drivers and food service workers and all of our teachers, we will be using a system called AppleTrack for applicant tracking. It is not a component of K-12 Enterprise, but they are a partner of K-12 Enterprise. K-12 Enterprise has used AppleTrack in, I think, just about all of the school systems that they have implemented their product in. We're real excited about that product. It's super easy to use for both applicants and administrators. One of the things I think, and I've got our 4 high school principals up here, I think one thing they'll be very excited about is right now if they want to download documents for an applicant, let's say the applicant has 5 documents, 3 letters of reference, a resume, and their most recent evaluation. They have to download each document separately and then print it out separately. With the touch of one button, everything prints. So we're real excited about that. Another feature that I'm super excited about is that the positions will automatically be posted, every single position on a national level through K-12 JobSpot at no additional cost. So it will really get our presence out there. And we'll be just about the only school division, certainly in this region, but probably south of Richmond, that is using this particular website. So we're excited about that. Hopefully that will get us some new and fresh candidates. And also, in a world where it's all about HR and my staff, we're excited because AppleTrack actually handles all the customer service calls. Mark McGrath, who works in my department, currently spends probably 2 to 3 hours a day during the hiring season helping folks with our current application process. And from now on, they'll be calling AppleTrack. So that'll free him up for 2 to 3 hours a day, probably 6 months out of the year, to do other things that are more beneficial to the school division. So that's super exciting. The other component that we will not be utilizing K-12 Enterprise for is our learning management system. We're going to be using a system called My Learning Plan. It's, again, extremely easy to use, very intuitive, and it streamlines the management of professional development. Folks will be able to register for courses online. All of their points will be in one place. It'll be easily accessible. Right now, it's a little cumbersome to get your points, and in some cases, depending upon how long you've been with a school division, you have to go to a couple of different places to add up all your points together, so everything will be in one place, so that's great. We'll also be able to do online course design. I already talked about the registration, but the system will also allow us to do online delivery of classes, and that is something that we are trying to move towards, allowing folks to do or to partake in professional development on their own time, at home, on the sofa, in their PJs. So this system will automatically allow us to do that. So we're real excited about that. In terms of the timeline, accounting, human resources, and payroll will go live, hopefully, July 1, 2016. Any changes to the pay schedule, as Ms. Scott mentioned, will be communicated early and often. We hope probably next month during the June work session to come to you with a full rollout on what the new pay schedules will look like. And then we will begin communicating those with our employees. Applicant tracking and learning management are both anticipated to go live in January of 2016. So that we'll be able to use AppleTrack for our 2016 hiring season, and also so our teachers and other employees can start using all of the tools that are available in My Learning Plan for their professional development needs. And with that, do you all have any questions?
Questions from board members? Mrs. Henry?
I know you're going to be glad to have something that isn't kind of all taped together with duct tape and rubber bands, and getting things we wanted to fit with an Oracle program have not always been an easy thing. This sounds like it's going to make your life a lot simpler.
Yeah.
We're counting on it.
Yes,
Okay.
for everyone within the division.
When you're, I know you're considering this with the final contract, and it'd be what kind of support and training and what kind of update procedure is there? Because however good everything is, there's always a new version, and so I'm sure we're getting that into the contracts as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, it does include, because it's an annual license and support fee, it does cover upgrades and call-in support. The initial implementation would include the training phase, and then once we go live, it's phone
So
support.
between now and July 1, once the contract is finalized, you'll begin training?
Well, it's July 1, 2016, a year from now.
Okay.
Yes, and we will be doing a lot of intensive training. Particularly, there are about 35 core users of the system who are in the system all day, every day, and we'll be doing intensive training. And then we'll be using a train-the-trainer model to go out and make sure that all of our customers are able to use the system. But it is super...
Few months from now.
Yeah, but that won't be until, we probably won't start that until, for HR, payroll, and finance, that probably won't start until after January of 2016. We'll start in the fall with training for AppleTrack and My Learning Plan.
Okay, so my thinking was just backwards. We're going to have My Learning and AppleTrack first.
Yes.
And the other K-12 Enterprise 6 months later.
Yes, to implement them all at the same time would be overwhelming for both staff and the end users. And so we broke them out, and we will support My Learning Plan and AppleTrack with Excel uploads from Oracle for that 6 months prior to K-12 coming online. The two systems will never talk to Oracle. So we will kind of do a Band-Aid approach until K-12 Enterprise goes live. But we've already worked that system out.
And ultimately, because Oracle seems to be more expensive to update and support every time, this is ultimately going to be a savings as well as being easier for your life.
Yes.
That's always a good thing. Thank you.
Other questions or comments from board members?
Thank you
all.
very much.
Dr. Shiflett?
Thank you, Ms. Scott and Ms. Ruth. Our next report is about our recent visit from Ford Next Generation Learning. I wanted to provide board members who weren't able to participate in the April 15th meeting with some additional information, and also to let everyone know about some of the next steps. I am so excited about this and the potential that we have in Hampton City Schools. So I'll turn this over to Dr. Woods, who will begin, and then Jesse will follow up. Thank you, Dr. Woods.
Thank you, Dr. Shiflett. Good evening, Mrs. Mugler, Mr. Pearson, school board members, and Hampton community. As Dr. Shiflett mentioned, we were fortunate to have a visit from Ford Next Generation officials. They came in to visit April 15th, and we're in our schools on the 16th. I'd like to start with a historical perspective of our pathway to community success, as well as an overview of the recent visit, as we seek to become a model community of learners. We actually invited Ford NGL to Hampton based on their research and work in supporting communities across the country to increase real-world community education. Career academies provide a means to ensure academic excellence for every child, every day, as we prepare students for college, careers, and of course, life. We are well on our way in Hampton with our academies and would like to share a brief overview with a video that highlights our academies.
The Academies of Hampton offer a variety of locally relevant career choices for students. Each high school offers a small, personalized learning community. From day one, students engage in immersive college and career-oriented pathways. Instruction is project-based and allows students hands-on application of what they learn in the classroom. When students leave high school, they're ready to enter the workforce or jump right into related college course studies with a clear career goal in mind. Take a look at our award-winning academies. Phoebus High School is home to the Idea Academy, where the robotics team, the Phantom Mentalists, received the Delphi Excellence in Engineering Award and General Motors Industrial Design in FIRST Robotics. Phoebus also has the Culinary Arts program, where students created menus and recipes for astronauts at the International Space Station. Students from the Architecture and Applied Arts Academy at Kecoughtan High School designed, built, and installed a tiny house at the Coastal Virginia Home and Garden Show in partnership with the Peninsula Housing and Builders Association and local builders. The Governor's Health Science Academy at Bethel High School earned awards in healthcare issues, transcultural healthcare, clinical specialties, veterinary science, and CERT during the 34th Annual HOSA State Leadership Conference and earned industry licenses and credentials needed by our healthcare system. Students in the Aerospace and Information Technology Academy at Hampton High School designed car ferry boats. The students were finalists in the 2014 and 2015 Society of Naval Architects and Marine Engineers Boat Design Competition. You have an opportunity to be part of excellence, help educate students for the new economy, and be part of real student success stories. As a partner, our schools are helping shape the local economy and help meet the needs of business and community partners like you. As a partner, you can help keep education up to date by providing mentors, sharing advice about changes in your industry, and most importantly, offer careers for our graduates. What's missing from this vision of the Academies of Hampton? You. Join us for a journey into excellence and make a difference in our community. Contact us today and become part of the Academies of Hampton. Help our students make good choices. Make it count.
We've actually been at this quite a while. Many of you will recall in 2006, a broad-based stakeholder work team of over 100 parents, students, teachers, school leaders, community and business representatives presented a scope of work to the Hampton School Board to transform secondary education in Hampton City Schools, which included career academies. In order to successfully guide students for 21st century learning, the work was named Compass and was designed to create a rigorous curriculum with a focus on relevance and relationships as part of our strategic plan. From 2007 to 2014, our Community Priorities Workshop participants continued to validate this work with their feedback, identifying career paths as one of the top 5 priorities for the division. In fact, our community indicated a top priority to continue to scale up rigorous, relevant pathways to college during the 2014 Community Priorities Workshop. Career Academy plans were identified by each high school community in 2009 and are branded with at least 3 pathways. We are indeed fortunate to live in this great community where a vision of college and career readiness is shared for all students and take interest in transforming the vision into broad-based action, which is essential for student success. We were pleased to be awarded the prestigious Governor's Health Sciences designation for the Academy at Bethel High School in 2013, as we partnered with exceptional community, business, and higher education representatives to design and provide high-quality, dynamic programs of study. In 2014, Kecoughtan's Architecture and Applied Arts Academy received the Governor's Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math designation. And our new Aerospace and Information Technology Academy at Hampton High School is part of the existing Greater Peninsula Governor STEM Academy. We have applied for the Governor STEM designation for Phoebus's Information Design and Engineering Academy. Our academy students are highly engaged in their learning, which is reflected in increased GPAs, attendance, industry credentials, and our students are taking ownership of their lifelong learning. It's our finding that as we have collaborated with our community, and particularly the 4 site councils, our schools have provided increasingly relevant education through the Career Academy model. Our interest is in sustaining and scaling up career academies, which leads us to the research around the highly successful transformation in Nashville, Tennessee, using a community-based approach. Several Hampton City School leaders visited Nashville schools this past year as part of a study tour. We learned how Forward Next Generation Learning was instrumental in the Nashville transformation, aligning schools with the community, business, and industry. We met with Forward Next Generation Learning officials and developed an understanding of the value their research-based model could bring to Hampton. I'd like to present our 4 high school principals who are committed to excellence in this work. The Governor's Health Science Academy at Bethel, Principal Ralph Saunders. The Aerospace and Information Technology Academy at Hampton High School, Principal Tiffany Hardy. The Architecture and Applied Arts Governor STEM Academy, Principal Jeff Mordecai. The Information Design and Engineering Academy, Principal William Beverly. In addition to our energetic principals who support this transformational work, I would like to present a person you have to have on your team to provide all that energy to keep this work going, our career and technical education curriculum leader, Jesse White, who has devoted his time and talent to grow the academies of Hampton.
Thank you, Dr. Woods. Good evening, Ms. Mugler, School Board, Dr. Shiflett. The academies of Hampton are the main thrust of our Career Academy effort. Each academy operates with separate and identifiable teams of teachers who integrate teaching and learning and emphasize what they are teaching is relevant to students. Additionally, students participate. Students participate in work-based learning activities to reinforce connections and to afford them the opportunity to learn skills for success both in the workplace and in post-secondary education. Each of our academies has a site council made up of teachers, school counselors, business and industry, employers, and higher education partners. Branding with unique academy logos helps students identify an identity and a sense of belongingness. The academies of Hampton serve as an umbrella for all of our academies. Today we are looking at how and where Forward Next Generation Learning can leverage our engagement with our community and take our secondary schools to higher levels. As shared earlier in the presentation, our work started almost 10 years ago. We have made great strides and realize we still have work to do by engaging our community and to continue to empower our students in 4 ways. First, through our existing academies, we are seeing increased student engagement and learning around and in their interests. Students are taking control of their learning. and their future. Secondly, real-world projects help develop 21st century skill sets of critical thinking, problem-solving, teamwork, and communication that all of our students must possess. Third, our students are building a network of caring adults, both in the school and in the community, to mentor them during their high school experience, to understand what it takes to be successful. And next, our academy students find relevance in schools as they take an active role in planning their future with clarity and a personal ownership of their academic and career plans. All of our academies have enrolled student cohorts. Let me move over to 6. Okay. Our interest in working in, excuse me. 5, okay. All of our academies have been, in our continual improvement efforts, Hampton school leaders have been working with Ford NGL consultants since October to dialogue about a potential partnership in Hampton. Ford NGL works collaboratively with communities to mobilize educators, employers, and community leaders to create a new generation of high school graduates who are both college and career ready, resulting in a workforce prepared to help a community compete successfully in the 21st century. To assess our readiness as a community, we held meetings with over 50 business, industry, community, foundations, government, workforce, school leadership, and higher education officials to collaborate. And here, Hampton has the required combination of desire and capacity to pursue the Ford NGL model and join the network of communities. Ford NGL officials also visited our schools and dialogued with students, teachers, and school leaders as part of the readiness assessment. Our interest in working with Ford Next Generation Learning is based on research of the communities that have sustained and scaled up career academies. These are built upon 3 strands that go beyond the NCAC 10 national standards. Each strand has a set of measurable essential practices. The Ford NGL community is one that is actively working to implement these 3 strands. Ford NGL, the community uses the power of workplace relevance and business relationships to incite young people about their education as well as prepare them for the workplace and post-secondary education. Strand 1 involves transforming teaching and learning. Strand 2 leverages the Career Academy High School redesign strategy to dramatically alter the high school experience through relevance. And Strand 3 builds strong business and civic leadership around Hampton's efforts to strengthen teaching and learning and high school redesign. A fully successful community develops and integrates all 3 strands and supports schools with a culture of excellence and accountability, resulting in students prepared for college, careers, and life. Currently, we are in the readiness stage with consultants from Ford Next Generation Learning. These consultants are proven leaders from school divisions, school districts who have become model NGL sites in the Ford NGL model to the point that real progress is evident in student learning, successful community engagement, and post-secondary success. This graphic shows the pathway to full implementation. Please note that the goal is community success. When we have successful students and community collaboration, we'll have real community results. And this arrow shows where we are on this pathway as we develop the vision for the future. The feedback we received from the Ford NGL team was very positive. They complimented Hampton City Schools on a strong CTE program, strong academics, and said the students were clearly engaged. They said it was evident that our high schools have good principal leadership and good community engagement is evident in our schools. Tonight we recognize 2 of our business leaders, Alcoa and Riverside, who are active members on our site councils. Of the things they said that could use improvement are low academy enrollment, a need for a stronger sense of direction, meaning connections to industry and community results, and how changes occur and the academies. Growth opportunities include expanding academies to wall, which is one of our long-range goals. Next slide. We are continuing to look at exemplary and model academies and dialoguing with Ford NGL. The next step also includes a dialogue between Ford NGLs and our incoming superintendent. If there's a mutual agreement and desire to affiliate, Ford NGL will designate a senior-level community coach to advise and assist our community through the process of their model. Next, the community coach mentors and guides our identified Ford NGL community facilitator in selecting a community stakeholder team. In the next step, Ford NGL and Hampton City Schools will hold a 3-day series of community orientation meetings. During these meetings, the community stakeholder team will present the proposed purpose, outcomes, and action steps they are considering. They will ask for the individual and organizational commitment to the plan and invite advice and input in a collaborative process. We are excited about the opportunity to increase our momentum through collaboration with Ford Next Generation Learning on our pathway to school and community success. We thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening, and we'll be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you all very much for that report. Are there questions from or comments from board members? Mrs. Smith?
I think it's very exciting because it is very much in line with that historical perspective you gave. I mean, it really is, and it's a nice, it's been modeled, and we know it's successful, so I think it's going to move really well. One thing I was excited about that community program that I went to was where they talked about not just the high schools, but the middle schools as well, getting involved in a pipeline so that maybe, like I saw that was one of their concerns with the site visit was the enrollment and trying to grow enrollment. So I hope to see, as you get more detailed, more information on how the middle schools are going to work into that too. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's that pipeline that we know we must develop. We'll start with the high schools, and we certainly would like to develop, you know, that pipeline from preschool all the way through college, actually.
There you go. Thank you.
I just want to comment that I want to thank Dr. Woods and Jesse White and whoever else was involved in taking the initiative to be involved with Ford Next Generation Learning. Even though we may think that we have 4 outstanding academies, we can't rest on our laurels, and we keep saying in this school system that we always see continuous improvement. So whatever we think is great could be even greater. And I think in the collaboration with Ford Next Generation Learning and developing that 3 to 5 year plan is going to really enhance our academies and hopefully attract some people to Hampton and to our school system.
Absolutely, that's the goal, which would be to increase some of the work we're doing with business and industry. As one of our business partners mentioned tonight, they need a pipeline of a workforce that's coming to them for some of these high-paying jobs that are out there. And we want our students to be able to be successful in those positions.
And they were recruiting an elementary student, I believe.
Mrs. Henry?
I think it's always exciting to me when we talk about career and technical education and most importantly, involving students in setting goals, because even if that goal changes, the goal gets them forward and you know, all that stuff about paradigm shifts we studied years ago, nobody's going to have the same profession forever any more than they're going to be with the same company forever, just Dr. Shiflett and me, you know. But I think the idea that if you help kids get involved in a goal-setting process, that's really the key. And I'm sorry I didn't get to your meeting, Mr. White, but I did read all the materials you were kind enough to send. And I understand the advantages of this have to do with a network, with a model, and particularly the idea of business engagement as a model. It talks about coaching. It does not mention anything about course outlines or course resources, and it didn't mention anything about funding of any kind. And so when that, you know, okay, there's no, this is coaching coming with this and modeling and an idea. And then I began to wonder about what obligations come with it, not just money costs. But anytime you have a formula, if they come to you with a formula for planning, that involves evaluation processes, redoing curriculum. Those are all costly of people's time and of personnel. So curriculum adjustments, we've been through this before. I'd say our history in this movement goes way back before 2006, because before SOL stuff hit us like a ton of bricks in the mid-90s, we had implemented a very successful tech prep program that involved all of these and had the curriculum to go with it. So we spent 5-6 years developing that curriculum. So I know if you do curriculum changes and it talks about transforming teaching and learning, that doesn't happen like that, and it doesn't happen without a huge investment of time and personnel. So I'm wondering what comes with this besides a nice idea. I mean, it's nice to have a nice idea, and it's nice to have a model to visit. So in our next visits with them, I really want to know about resources that come with this. And as you mentioned, we're very fortunate. We had 2 wonderful business partners here tonight, and we do have a history in this community of all of our industries wanting to support us in every way they possibly can. So if it's a successful model on how to capture that business engagement, that's worth its weight in gold. But nothing is done easily. We did it before with a great deal of difficulty. So however great the model is, I'm just saying I want them to tell me what goes with this, not just in terms of opportunities, but in terms of real obligations on our part. Because if you tell staff you have this many obligations now, and they feel like they're up to here, and now they're going to be new ones, it's nice to get excited, and I am going to be excited. We've been excited about Project Lead the Way. We've been excited about the academies, and we need to get our kids excited. If they can be a model for how to do that, that's wonderful. But there are layers upon layers of this, and we have to be more than cheerleaders. So I don't want to sound discouraging, but having rowed this boat a long time, I know that it's going to be, there's a lot more to it than a nice idea and a model, and somebody's going to come with a coach and tell us how to do it. We're going to have to do it, and it's going to be hard work.
I think what has been successful about this particular model is where it started. It started in the Ford Motor Company plant cities, where they had concerns about their schools. They had concerns about growing community issues, poverty, dropout rates, and all of the schools that we have seen and talked to have had huge social issues. And what they have found out, and in particularly, since we went to Nashville, we are most knowledgeable about Nashville. Whenever their average gang member age went from 16 to 23, and whenever their dropout rate or their graduation rate went from 47% to 76%, these were the issues that they saw. But what we saw in the schools when we're engaged students and we talked to teachers who are very happy, there is a leadership, that's where the primary work is, but there is going to be a need to have an external partner, sort of a one-person contact to our business and industry, and we're going to have to work through that. But what we're expecting from that contact is that our business and industry folks will understand that they can have a return on investment by having engagement with our schools that reduce their employee acquisition costs, their employee training, their employee readiness. On top of that, we also have engaged philanthropy, and we expect that we're going to have to go get some money to do this. And so when we look at it in terms of the pie, we're thinking that we can add parts to the pie, and as far as that goes, and that's going to be part of the equation. And we wouldn't attend to this process without all due diligence, and we're just not ready to make a commitment yet. So what we'll have to do is make sure that we have that good community input and make sure that we are able to do this. But what we've seen in cities like Louisville, Kentucky, the Rio Grande Valley, and there's some 19 different partners in this, and they're all had major problems in their community, and they're solving them with this model, and they're able to afford it with the industry and community support. But they're also seeing a return to their cities from businesses and people who are leaving their cities. And so if you think in terms of the community, there is an additional. But again, as a school division, we wouldn't be going at this alone. We would be going at this with full support of all of our community stakeholders.
Thank you so much. See, when you get all, you do much better ad-libbing, Mr. White, when you get all that passion comes out. Thank you very much.
And I do want to call to your attention that we have been working on this for a number of years, and we've been making progress in spite of the fact that we've lost over $24.5 million from the state. And I think that was something that truly impressed the Ford NGL representatives, that we do have a true level of commitment to this. And as you said, we do have past history in designing the curriculum and getting people involved in doing this kind of work. And I think as we continue to do this work, it'll be critical for additional members of our school board and some of our curriculum leaders to take some of those trips to see the work that they're doing in Nashville. But also, we don't always have to reinvent everything. Some of the career strands are very similar. As we get into collaboration, not only with Ford NGL, but we're also then in collaboration with all of their multiple places where they have affiliated already. And so that's all the way from Nashville, and Jesse mentioned some others in Florida. And so it gives us this tremendous opportunity to build on the work of others. And I wish that all of our board members had had an opportunity to go that day, because there was a tremendous sense of urgency and support from not only our community members, but our city leaders. And everybody was just really like, this is what we need to do, let's go. And so I am excited about the next steps for us. And I truly believe that we're poised and ready to do this. Ms. Henry, you know what it's like in that robotics class when the robotics first competition starts. And those of you that have been over to Bethel and have seen the students working in the health sciences lab, those young people are so engaged in their learning that they really lose track of time. And they're learning real life skills that are going to benefit our community. And so the part that I'm so excited about is that as we look at expanding this and creating opportunities for other young people to really pursue their passions, their interests, the things that are going to make them productive citizens. I mean, the work is going to be hard, but I think it's going to make a substantial difference in the lives of our children and our community. That's a lot said, but we've been through this before. Yes, and I think now is the time to really capitalize on the work that we've done earlier.
Yeah, one of the things that they shared with us in Nashville was, you don't go to your business partners asking for money initially. You go in asking for their resources in terms of their time with internships, working with our students, coming into the schools, advising. Eventually, they will provide some additional supports for this work. And so, it's, as Dr. Shiflett said, this is an iterative process. We're continuing to work through it, and I think this is something that could take us to that next level. And we're real excited about it. I think Ford was also excited. They were so impressed with our young people when they visited the schools. The students were the leaders about their learning, talking about their learning, talking about their coursework. And that was so exciting. The teachers could sit back, and the students were in the front. It's really exciting.
Mrs. Smith?
Just to sort of piggyback on what you're saying about the excitement at that meeting, I mean, you could feel it. And the community was together. We were all together talking about the future of our kids, and it was a really powerful time. I enjoyed it immensely, and it made sense, and there were lots of questions, and there were different representatives there from the different school divisions that have done this that had answers because they tried these things, and we don't have to repeat the mistakes they made. We can learn from what they did And then to see the business leaders there that know what they need for jobs and to be able to aim our curriculum to what it is we actually need in our community, it just really tied it together very well. So very excited.
Thank you. Other comments or questions from board members? Okay. Thank you all very much for your report and especially for all of the very difficult and hard work that you have already put into this process. And it certainly hasn't gone unnoticed that you all have put in so much effort into the Career Academy concept and hopefully taking this to the next level. So
Thank you. It's
all.
a team effort. You know, Mrs. Bain has been so helpful in terms of the work with the community and our business partners. The principals are extremely supportive. Dr. Haynes and Dr. Johnson have worked with us. It's really been, you know, a truly collaborative process. And I think that's where that you could feel that palpable interest and love of our community that day, that everyone can see. This just makes sense. So thank you. We appreciate your support.
Thank you all. And I know as board members, when we go into the schools and we've gone into the academies, especially, we've talked about the students today, but I know whenever we go into those academies and we engage with those students, they are so totally into the work that they're doing. It's really relevant to them, and they love talking about it. And so you can tell that it's effective learning. And so it's exciting. Thank you all so much for your work and for your report tonight. Dr. Shiflett?
Our last report for the evening is our monthly business operations and financial update. Mrs. Scott? You need glasses to see those little numbers.
To actually read the report, I need my glasses. Well, good evening again. I'm here to present the financial report for the month ending March 31st, 2015. As of that date, we had total revenues of $144,859,748, and expenditures and encumbrances totaled $140,221,961. This is based, as we've said throughout the year, on a budgeted March ADM of 20,000 students. We had previously projected that we thought we would come in at about 19,884, and the final March ADM was 19,881.46. So we actually were less than 3 students off in our projection, which I thought was pretty good. Based on that, our projected revenue shortfall for the year will be about $628,000, and this includes all the changes that were also done in the governor's caboose budget in December, and we still expect to be able to cover that through attrition. You will also notice that as of this financial report, we have added the $729,442 to the budget that the board approved carrying over from the FY14 budget that we had remaining at year end, and which City Council reappropriated to us for the purpose of assisting with the cost of the enterprise resource planning system that Ms. Ruth and I just talked about a few minutes ago. So as of this financial statement, we have added that amount to the budget. On the revenue side, you'll see it as a separate line item. On the expenditure side, we've added it to the technology category 9 budget. So that increases our total budget from $196,018,093 to a total of $196,747,535. Are there any questions?
Questions from board members for Ms. Scott? All right. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For your report. Dr. Shiflett?
That concludes our reports.
Thank you. We'll move on to the hearing of any delegations or presentation of any written communications or petitions. I don't have any forms tonight, so we'll move right on along. Our next agenda item is items for action, and we will start with action on our science books and materials that have been recommended for adoption in grades 4, 5, and chemistry.
Madam Chairman, I move adoption of the
approval of the adoption of science materials as presented in item 8.01.
Second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Henry and seconded by Mr. Kilgore that we approve the adoption of science books recommended for grades 4, 5, and chemistry. Is there any discussion? There being none, Ms. Bowers, will you call the vote?
Mr. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Samuels?
Aye.
Ms. Smith? Aye. Mr. Harper?
Aye.
Ms. Henry?
Aye.
Mr. Kilgore?
Aye.
Ms. Mugler?
Aye, motion carries. Next item up for action is our special education annual plan. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, move approval of action item 8.02, Special Education Annual Plan.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Kilgore and seconded by Mr. Samuels that we approve the special education annual plan. Is there any discussion? There being none, Ms. Bowers, will you call for the vote?
Mr. Samuels?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Harper?
Aye.
Ms. Henry?
Aye.
Mr. Kilgore?
Aye.
Mr. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Mugler?
Aye, motion carries. The final item on our action agenda tonight is the revision of School Board Policy JED, attendance policy. Is there a motion?
I move approval of item 8.03, revision of School Board Policy JED, attendance policy.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Pearson and seconded by Mrs. Henry that we approve the revision of policy JED, our attendance policy. This policy is being updated based on the change in payment for AP test fees in the 2015-16 budget. Is there any discussion? There being none, Ms. Bowers, will you call for the vote?
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Harper?
Aye.
Ms. Henry?
Aye.
Mr. Kilgore?
Aye.
Mr. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Samuels?
Aye.
Ms. Mugler?
Aye, motion carries. We move on to deliberation. First reads. We don't have any items for just out-and-out deliberation tonight. We'll move on to deliberation first read, beginning with the revision of School Board Policy BBE, unexpired term fulfillment. And Ms. Reeves, will you be addressing that?
Yes, Mrs. Mugler. All four of the policies that are for consideration, well, one's a mirror policy, but the policies that are for consideration are all policies that we consider board governance, board policies. And the February 2015 update suggested some really minor language changes, and these have been through the policy review committee, and they thought that the language change suggestions by VSBA were appropriate. The other major change is to cited Virginia Code sections.
Any questions for clarification on this policy revision? Okay, there being none, we'll move on to the next policy. And actually, we have 4 policies on for first read, all of which will be addressed by Ms. Reeves, so I'll let you just go through the rest of them without interrupting.
The next policy, the two actually are can be considered together because they're mirror policies. BBFA and GBACB are conflicts of interest, disclosure of economic interests. And as a result of the VSBA update that added some policy language from the Virginia Code, there was also an addition of a new provision that needed to be added because of the disclosure statements that are now required 2 times per year. The policy title is also being recommended to be changed, and that's because the conflict rules now apply to all employees, and they wanted to make sure that that was absolutely clear to all.
Okay. Any questions for clarification on these revisions?
And like I said, the third one, which is GBACB, it has the same changes. And the final is board meetings with respect to this policy. VSBA had some additional language. They had updates, but they also had some additional language in their policy, which was not in your current school board policy. So the recommendation of the committee is to add those 2 new paragraphs with respect to transacting all business at school board meetings, and the 3rd paragraph, no meeting conducted through telephonic or video or other means unless it follows the policy about electronic participation in meetings from remote locations. So that's actually in the code. It has never been in your policy, but it was recommended by VSBA, and the committee thought that that addition would be a good one for this policy. Okay.
Any questions for clarification on this revision? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Reeves. We'll move on to informational items, beginning with the announcement of our next regular meeting that will be held on May 20th at 6:30 p.m. in the Rupert Sargent Building, 1 Franklin Street. Dr. Shiflett, do you have any informational items?
I have a few. Just to remind everyone that Thursday, May 14th, we have our Teacher of the Year celebration at 6 p.m. at Embassy Suites, and this is always one of the highlights of the year. As you heard, today is National School Nurses Day, so we send our best wishes out to all of our school nurses for all the great work that they do for us each and every day. Also, this has been Teacher Appreciation Week, and of course, you know, the teachers that work with our children every day are certainly all of our heroes, the work that they do. We are so appreciative of them. May 16th, I did send out to you earlier about the 200-plus men breakfast at 9 a.m. Convention Center. I still have a few seats at my table, so if anyone is interested in going, you know, they rotate between the Virginia Beach area and here, so if any of you are interested, including you, Malcolm, you're probably going anyway, but I do have some additional seats at my table. Also on May 16th, later in the afternoon, is the Langley Research Center's Hunch ceremony, 1 p.m. at Phoebus High School. On May 18th, we have our next Key Communicators meeting, 6 p.m. at SAC. That concludes my
Thank you, Dr.
announcements.
Shiflett. Any other informational items from board members? Mrs. Smith?
Just a real quick one. We had our, twice a year we have our blitz through the City of Hampton neighborhood office, and my husband and I always adopt a house, and it was just a great event as usual, a lot of fun, and we even had a couple Hampton City School employees on our team this time, so it was really neat time to get to know each other and enjoy that and make a homeowner very, very happy. Actually, I think there were 16 homeowners very happy in Hampton Saturday, so it was a very good event.
Incredible.
And to
Mr.
also
Sanders?
piggyback with that, I believe Hampton is the only city on the peninsula that offers such program. And it was a tremendous turnout at the Boys and Girls Club on Shell Road. It was amazing. The weather was great. And as Monica said, we were able to provide assistance or services to 16 homeowners. And if you could visit the cityofhampton.gov website, there are photos of before and after photos of all the homes that we repaired, and we had some happy residents in Hampton. Thank you.
Any other informational items? If there are no additional informational items, the business of this meeting is concluded, and this board will reconvene in closed session. But for the purposes of this meeting, it is adjourned. Thank you so much.